Tucker Carlson has taken a weird position actually defending Bernie Sanders as of late. And it might seem weird to you if you look at just on the pure baseline of who Tucker Carlson is. But if you look deeper, you would see that Tucker is a populist. So there is some overlap between him and Bernie Sanders when it comes to defending the working class and not going into unnecessary wars. Carlson pushed against Trump when Trump was pushing for war with Iran a week ago. So there is some reason for Tucker Carlson to support Bernie. He has said Bernie is the most credible change candidate in the Democratic Party, and he thinks Bernie Sanders will win. He continues to defend Bernie Sanders here. Watch.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. This election is coming up fast, faster than you may realize. How fast? Well, 6 months from tomorrow, the leadership of the Democratic Party will gather on the floor of a basketball arena in Milwaukee and formally nominate their presidential candidate. Now, at this point, as of right now, there's a strong chance that nominee will be Bernie Sanders. If that happens, if Sanders becomes the official leader of the Democratic Party, there will be chaos. The party's funders on Wall Street will recoil in terror at what's to come. They'll be joined in that terror by the establishment class in New York and Los Angeles, as well as by the entire intel and foreign policy bureaucracies in Washington.
And he's completely right there. Democratic funders have already came out to say that if Bernie Sanders is the nominee, they would rather Donald Trump win, and they might even support Donald Trump financially over Bernie Sanders. That's how much of an existential threat Bernie Sanders really is to the upper establishment class.
All of these people demand to know one thing. How'd this happen? How did Bernie Sanders become the Democratic nominee? And that's a good question. Here's part of the answer. It all started last night at the Democratic debate in Des Moines, when CNN President Jeff Zucker decided to destroy the Sanders for President campaign. Now, Zucker poses as a television executive, but he operates like a political consultant. His latest client is the Democratic establishment, which has dispatched him to crush Bernie Sanders before he can take control of the party. So just before last night's debate, CNN ran a story claiming, without any proof at all, that Bernie Sanders had once told Elizabeth Warren that a woman could not be president. Sanders denied that charge vigorously, but the message was unmistakable and crystal clear. He's a sexist. Don't vote for him. CNN relentlessly hyped the allegations on air, and then once again during the debate. Watch how Zucker's hand-selected moderator framed the story.
Senator Sanders, I do want to be clear here. You're saying that you never told Senator Warren that a woman could not win the election.
That is correct.
Senator Warren, what did you think when Senator Sanders told you a woman could not win the election?
I disagreed.
Senator Warren, what did you think when Senator Sanders told you a woman could not win the election? Which he clearly did because he's old and hates women and also lies a lot. Just more journalism from our friends on cable news. Suddenly, in weed-scented apartments around Brooklyn and the Bay Area, legions of Bernie supporters understood for the very first time why Donald Trump is always attacking CNN. Why? Because CNN deserves it. And thousands of them reached for their credit cards in response. By this morning, the Sanders campaign was reporting its best ever fundraising on a debate day, with more than 100,000 individual donations.
They don't get that. They don't get that the more we go through, the more we fight, the harder we fight. When Bernie Sanders had the heart attack, I was the only person I knew to predict that it was actually going to help Bernie Sanders' campaign. His campaign was dying. Bernie Sanders had the heart attack, and it brought it right back to life.
So it turns out it's possible to level attacks that are so stupid and so unfair that they wind up helping the person you're trying to hurt. That's a lesson CNN has repeatedly failed to learn in the Trump era, and they were no smarter this time. From within Jeff Zucker's dark and airless bubble, everything seemed to be going precisely according to plan.
Sanders, look, a lot of it's personal preference. I didn't think his answer vis-a-vis Elizabeth Warren and what was said in that conversation was particularly good. He was largely dismissive. I didn't say it. Everybody knows I didn't say it. We don't need to talk about it.
And I think what Bernie forgot was that this isn't a he said, she said story. This is a reported out story that CNN was part of breaking.
A reported out story.
To have him just flat out say no, I think wasn't nearly enough to address that for the women watching.
And I can't imagine any woman watching last night and saying, I believe Bernie. I think people believe Elizabeth.
This was Elizabeth Warren's night. She needed to do something. And there was a banana peel sitting out there for Bernie to step on when it came to his comments about women. I think Bernie stepped on it and slid around. She knocked that moment out of the park.
Oh, CNN. It's a world where buffoonish old Joe Lockhart, mustard stains on his shirt, is suddenly a renowned expert on what women really want. Hilarious. Ask his first wife. But no one in Zuckerland thought it was funny at all. They had their orders. They proceeded to carry them out with grim determination. Onward to battle! Bernie must be stopped! It almost seemed personal, and in some ways it was personal. Just 4 days ago, CNN settled a lawsuit with its unionized employees for a record $76 million. It was the single largest payout ever collected in the 84-year history of the National Labor Relations Board. When that deal was announced, Bernie Sanders issued a statement celebrating the win for CNN's oppressed and miserable workforce.
I didn't know
They
that.
are, trust me. Quote, "Congratulations to the communication workers of America for this victory. This is the result of the union fighting for years to get these workers the justice they deserve." End quote. Jeff Zucker was not amused by that. He readied his troops for battle. But
Well,
in the
there's
end,
more than
it
that,
didn't
but
work.
that
And by the way,
definitely was
it won't
a piece
work.
of it.
Americans may dislike politicians, but they hate the media more.
Yeah.
If forced to choose between Bernie Sanders and CNN, most people will go with Bernie.
The media has like a 20% approval rating. Really bad. But yeah, Fox News is obviously terrible as well, but he did say a lot of truth there. They don't understand how these movements truly operate. The more they try to stop it, the more it grows. And I hope it's a repeat of Donald Trump's movement. And then they're going to go and say that we're like Donald Trump. They're going to say that the guy who is saying, not me, us, Bernie Sanders, says we have to come together with our common humanity and fight for someone that we don't know. They're going to compare us to Trump. They're going to smear us in the media. They're going to wage terrible attacks towards Bernie. But I think and I hope people are seeing through all of the garbage. And we just got to keep pushing. Tucker Carlson, thank you for this piece. Although other stuff you say is absolutely terrible and you bow down to Trump, undeniably you are a really bad media personality. But I really like what you said here, so thank you for that.